subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we send peace and blessings upon His noble messenger. They're okay, they're kids. We came here for them anyway, let them play. You know, this is the first time I've ever been exposed to a Islamic school that gives out awards for hugs. So I thought that was very nice. But I was told the theme for today for the children is a hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, أكمل المؤمن إيمانا أحسنهم خلقا. So this hadith in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which says that the most complete of the believers is the one who has the best character. And you know, one might look at that and say, what are you talking about? You know, how can the best believer, how can the best Muslim be the one that has the best character? What about the one who prays the most? What about the one who gives the most money, the most charity, the most sadaqah? The one who's gone for umrah so many times or hajj? How do we equate that? Especially when we hear that the most important thing in Islam is tawheed, the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone without any partners. But if one were to think about the character and its importance in Islam, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إِنَّمَا بَعِثْتُ لِيُتِمَّ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ, that verily I have been sent for the purpose of perfecting the character of mankind. If you think about prayer, why do we pray? وَأَقِيمُ الصَّلَاةِ إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ, and that we are to establish the prayer. Why? Not so we just go through a bunch of motions, but so that we keep ourselves away from those filthy acts and those evil acts. If someone's heart is connected to the prayer, it's going to be impossible for them to want to do evil deeds. Unfortunately, though, in our communities, we refer to prayer as a burden. We say, I have to pray. We don't say, I want to pray or I love to pray. We say, oh, I have to pray Asr. Our hearts are not connected to the prayer. If our hearts were connected to the prayer, we wouldn't find ourselves falling into the sins that we fall into. Prayer, the purpose of that is to perfect the character, not just to go through the motions. If we look at zakat, وَآتِ الزَّكَاةِ rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to give zakat. It's a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also in the Quran, خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةٍ تُطَهِّرُهُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا. If you ask most of the Muslims, they give presentations about Islam. You know, we're concerned about our public appearance. We talk about zakat. What do we say about zakat? We say we give zakat to purify our wealth. But this is incorrect. Unless you're just dealing with haram interactions. We give zakat, why? تُطَهِّرُهُمْ, so that it purifies them. وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا, so that we can purify ourselves. Why? Because when you're giving sadaqah, when you're giving charity, when you're giving zakat, especially when you're reaching out to those poor people, this is going to be a humbling experience. It should be a humbling experience, but unfortunately sometimes our most famous question during Ramadan is, can I give my zakat to my cousins and my uncles and my aunties overseas? Because we've got such a lack of connection with those around us who are poor and who are struggling. Without a doubt, any country in the world, in any city in the world, you find that the poorest of people are next to the most wealthy. And so even here in Houston, we have people who are poor and in need of our assistance. Muslims and non-Muslims alike. And so we have to realize, by giving that money, realizing when you go personally and you see that person living in some townhouse, in some poor conditions, living off of food stamps, it's a humbling experience first and foremost because it reminds us of our wealth and our blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And second, it gives us a real connection to those people who are less fortunate than us. And we get to start to see how some of these people with such little things are still happy in their lives. Yet some of us with all of the things and material possessions, we still feel as if our life is incomplete. If we look at the fasting of Ramadan, which is just around the corner upon us, why do we fast? Just so that we can not eat throughout the day? Just so that we can get the reward of fasting? Allah says in the Quran, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ, that Allah has prescribed for you fasting, just as He has prescribed it for the people before you. Why? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you may become righteous. We look at all of the pillars of Islam, whether it is prayer, whether it is zakat, whether it is fasting, or whether it is hajj. Why do we go for hajj? Why do we go for hajj? So that we can correct our character. Everyone that goes for hajj wants one thing. They want one thing. Yes, they want paradise, yes, they want to be forgiven, but they want to come back a changed person. In hajj, لَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. Allah requests from us that we do not involve ourselves in any of these evil acts or arguing or things that we're not supposed to do during Hajj. Hajj is a test of the character while you're on difficult situations. Maybe you're not eating the food that you want, or the travel agent ripped you off, or you're in a hotel that things aren't working out right, or all the other problems that come with Hajj. The person nagging next to you, or the people that are traveling with you. All of these difficulties with that group of women from a certain country who lock arms and run you over. Hajj is for you to control yourself and to control your anger and to control your patience. All of this is the development of the character. Islam is all about perfecting the character of the people. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said that he wasn't sent except for that. And that character is a form of worship. Character is actually ibadah. Character is just like your prayer. So long as you do those things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is a form of worship and a way for you to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether it's being good with your neighbor, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your wife, your husband, your children, or your parents. Character is Islam. And Islam is character. We have to perfect our character. And we have to teach that character to our children. Whether it's in our schools, but more importantly at our homes. Because you are the first and number one teacher of your children. You are the first and number one teacher of your children. We can't live in a society and say, do as I say, not as I do. Rather, we're living in a society where our children see what you do and they do what you do. So we have to remember that we have to embody these words of the Prophet ﷺ so that we can become the most perfect believer because we have the best of character. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost to bless our children and help us to raise them as good, righteous Muslims who have the best of character. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us a means in that process by allowing us to uphold the best of character, the character of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I love you all for the sake of Allah. May Allah bless you, your children in the school. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.